There are many different ways to buy Bitcoin, but the cheapest and fastest way to buy Bitcoin with cash is with a coin flip Bitcoin ATM. Coin flip ATMs allow anyone to buy Bitcoin with the lowest fees and within just a few steps. Hi, I'm Amy, and I'm one of the hundreds of store owners who partner with CoinFlip. In this convenient store, we host a CoinFlip Bitcoin ATM. We earn passive income, more foot traffic, and we get free advertising done by the CoinFlip team. Getting the ATM was easy. We just contact the CoinFlip team at info@coinflip.tech, and they handle everything with no cost to the store owner. This includes installation, maintenance, marketing, and even 24/7 customer service. We just provide a small space within the store. To get your own CoinFlip Bitcoin ATM and join the monetary revolution, contact CoinFlip today. info@coinflip.tech or fill out the form at request.coinflip.tech. 773-800-0106.
Whether you're brand new to cryptocurrency or an expert, Hodl is the app for you. Are you tired of dealing with the exchanges, their unreliability, and high fees? Welcome to the new cryptocurrency standard. Hodl is your one-stop shop for accumulating cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. This is the easiest way for you to accumulate crypto and manage it. Download the Hodl app now. Create your profile, link one or more bank accounts, set up your dashboard, and let Hodl do the rest. It's easy and fast. Hodl provides multiple ways to purchase and accumulate crypto. Included are advanced automated buying features along with direct market buys. You have total control of your money and which cryptocurrencies get purchased, with options including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Tether, Ripple, among others. Use the Roundup feature to automatically purchase crypto with your spare change after making everyday purchases. Easily increase your Roundup growth by using the Boost Growth option and boost your Roundups by either 2, 3, or 5 times. The Autopilot feature allows you to purchase crypto based on the amount and frequency you choose. Set it and forget it. Buy and sell in real time. The coins you buy are the coins you get. Hodl holds 100% true blockchain purchases. No downtime. Super secure. Lower fees, and you get 24/7 support. Hodl makes it easy for you to create and manage a diversified cryptocurrency portfolio. Look forward to future enhancements coming soon, as well as additional cryptocurrency options. Download the Hodl app today and get started now.
All right, bro, and we are live. All right, everything looks good. Everything sounds good. Guys, if you're watching this live right now, don't forget to like and comment on the live stream. Every day somebody wins some crypto. Shout out to Fio, FIO. If you want to win, all you have to do is like and comment. I'll let you know if you won and you get your crypto. Every day somebody wins. Today I'm hanging out with my bro, Anthem. How goes it, bro?
It goes, Ken.
It's good to see
Beautiful.
you, man. It's
Good to
been
see you.
way too damn long, bro. I feel like the last time I seen you was months ago, which is hard to say because usually we only go weeks without seeing each other because of conferences.
I know. Where's the crypto rage is in, but the events are just begun now. So we need to get this game back on again.
Yeah, man. How what have you been up to? What is crypto wise? Like because of this whole lockdown thing, and there ain't much we can do out and about. A lot of people have been heads down developer mode and grinding and doing crazy shit. And I'm just curious, like, how have you been taking advantage of this and having your silver linings, prosper?
It's been awesome. I hate to say it, but it's been a beautiful year for our development and advancement as a team. We picked up a massive client that's going to be launching here in about a month or so. We're talking like a sovereign, like one of the biggest on the planet, and they're our client, and so it's amazing to me. And we'll make a little more public waves about this in the next month or so. Just the client will, and we'll kind of help them push it and track trace. Inventory asset management, identity verification, all of these ransomware proof, all of these new words and phrases have kind of come into our vocabulary this year. I think because of all the COVIDs, it's infected everybody's mind.
Dude, you know what I think's interesting? The whole concept you just said there of ransomware proof. What the hell is that even? I remember when WannaCry popped up out of nowhere and nobody was ransomware proof. Not even the government. I think like local police stations, hospitals, municipal buildings even had like legal documents like completely erased. How is something ransomware proof?
So here's what's really messed up is that the only thing that I can find going up more than the market capitalization of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the entire public protocol spectrum is behind the scenes, the amount of economic cost is happening because of ransomware.
Right.
Like if you Google American Law Review, you'll pull up a number of like $6 trillion of economic loss. Then you got like people like Gardner, who's like #1 in the world for IT data. They'll say people are only spending about $500 billion a year on enterprise software, maybe like 150 billion on cybersecurity. What our team realized, we did Hercules and having this data integrity to level of Bitcoin supply chain software that we built. And now we're pushing it through Hera software development. They're kind of like our Red Hat IBM, pushing our LAMP stack, if you will, our Herc stack. We realized Herc stack by being Ethereum and pegged into Bitcoin using Factom and IPFS and STORJ protocols. Public protocols are inherently ransomware proof because there's zero central database where everything is getting served from the application. The application's all distributed. The versioning is all distributed. So there's zero choke point to try to do like a denial of service on a network, for example. Someone has to pay for all these tokens are really just slang for software access keys to public protocols.
Interesting.
Right? And because inherently, like when we have our wallets, it's really just our personal information on our personal devices, our little PC, our phone, our tablets, laptops, what have you. All that data stays with us. And the concept, really, the public protocol concept is that you own your own data. So it basically makes for ransomware proof environments. We kind of accidentally realized this about a year ago. And we started pushing heavy with the marketing. And all of a sudden, like February hit, it was weird. Totally doesn't make sense at all. But like, virus on the human all of a sudden was like, oh, virus is in the computer. It was like the two. And then, it was just really interesting.
I'm curious to see like what Peter Schiff would think would be the correlation, between like, viruses in the real world as opposed to like digital viruses, because this dude hates all things digital, but I'm sure he's probably investing in antivirus stuff that are including blockchain technologies, and he's so anti-blockchain. It's just funny to think. But
we're like colloidal silver, right? We're like the silver, right? It's antibacterial.
Oh shit, that's genius. It took me 1 second to realize what you were saying. I was like, oh yeah, silver, antibacterial, I remember.
Cool. cool.
Yeah, I remember when the WannaCry virus came out, and I sort of was like, pointing at it being a good thing for Bitcoin because a lot of companies, for their security purposes, were picking up Bitcoin back then in 2017 to future proof any kind of future ransomware like WannaCry. So they picked up some Bitcoin today to maybe spend it tomorrow, but they're just hodling it for tech security purposes. And as more of these WannaCries popped up, more companies started buying Bitcoin just to hold it in case some terrorist decides they want it for payment.
Yeah. And if you Google again, like 2014, ransomware was virtually non-existent, and it's because there wasn't third-party transferable value.
Yeah, use PayPal real quick. Send me some money.
There you go. Yeah. You're trying to hold someone ransom on PayPal, right? PayPal holds you ransom, right?
Wasn't
But
there a Da Vinci virus that requested like dollars to be mailed to an island somewhere in like early 2000s?
yes, that was how people were doing it forever. And the thing is that it was so much easier, more lucrative to just sell people's data because all databases centrally are hacked and all of our information is in so many of these thousands of databases.
Yeah, it probably cost like $50 to get my social security number right now.
If, right? And so like to sell that data, like you're so much better off saying, hey, I'm just going to hold you hostage because now these keys are worth something, right? Outside the banking system. That's why the last 6 years, ransomware has gone from zero to now like $20+ billion reported. And probably for every dollar reported ransomware someone spends, easily $100, $200 that someone's not saying, right?
See, I can see this being full circle here because when it comes to supply chain, we have those issues of garbage in, garbage out, and then we have issues of centralized databases that could be attacked. That's why I think we haven't seen a lot of mass adoption when it comes to tokenizing supply chain because they realize they have this garbage in, garbage out problem as well as a database issue where they have central points of failure. So their infrastructure has to start from the bottom up, but where is that bottom? Where does the infrastructure start so we could start to see supply chain utilized with blockchain technology?
Like the beauty, Bitcoin, Ethereum, public protocol layers are all inherently neutral. Everybody just trusts without having to trust anybody. And that's the beautiful thing about it. And you can layer basically public protocol stacks like Hercules to basically buffer out a lot of the volatility of Ethereum and Bitcoin in terms of like how much is it going to cost, like how quickly can you use it. Like by adding more and more of these public protocols together, it's kind of like baking a cake.
Yep.
Like you make the recipe and then you can kind of tweak it, right? Oh, it's strawberry, it's chocolate, it's banana, or it's a combination, right? Like that's kind of like what we do. It's like once you have these trust layers, you can fill in the gaps. So we don't have to like rebuild all this stuff. We can just basically say, yeah, like let's also save information on this trust layer, and then we can all reference it to know that we weren't lying, cheating, stealing, at least. Or if we were, then we can prove who did it, immediately. And then we know that that person's out of that trust circle, right? Or we're going to like make them pay a lot more to get back in that trust circle. Or, we have data.
Or hold them liable, right? There'll be legal repercussions finally because there will be evidence and proof to hold somebody accountable to. A lot of what happens right now is, oh, it just fell off the back of the truck. I don't know where it went. Good luck.
Like voting.
Oh shit! You brought it up, bro, and I was gonna go politics on your ass, but I'm curious now that you mentioned it. Do you think that we could see the next election utilizing the blockchain for voting, using something like Herc? Could Herc support like the voting process?
I think I would definitely could, but I'm not sure anyone wants it really. I think everybody likes it, this kind of system you can game, right? I mean, it looks like this is going to go to the House of Representatives by the look of it, that like one side's trying to stop the other side from not getting their electoral college 270 votes, and then this happens. But people corruption likes corruption, right? It's a corrupt system. Bitcoin is incorruptible system. Ethereum is incorruptible system. As long as their networks hold, all the data inside these public protocol ledgers that's getting saved, it's all 100% trustworthy. Like no one's ever been able to go back and change it. Like sure, yeah, Ethereum forked and we have Ethereum Classic. That's why we always do anchor data into Bitcoin, because that is actually a protocol that's never been changed, in terms of the ledger that it's left of data. But, Ethereum is still the world's strongest processor in my view. It's the hardest processor to take down,
Right.
and
At least the most expensive to try.
exactly. But that expensive security, right?
Right.
Bitcoin, the world's strongest record keeping, right? Like these protocols have very succinct, usability, and that I think can help make really good choices because really, like you and your viewers are on the bleeding edge of innovation, right? I mean, public protocols are going from hobby to commercial, industrial use like in milliseconds right now, practically, right? So like you have this vision, right? And it's like being able to kind of see like gamification, right? Like where are they applicable, what's the purpose, you know what I mean? And like
Hmm.
that's I think where the best opportunities are.
Yeah, I think you're right with the voting thing. The riggability of it's not a bug, it's a feature. That's sort of how like I think they look at voting when things go with like voter fraud and dead people voting in two states. It's like a video game to them, and it's just like, oh, let's just play on difficulty mode, and that's like it's fun, and it's a horrible experience for us to spectate, but for the people inside the game, it's like a fucking WWF scripted event. It's just really good reality TV. So they
And
don't want to ruin that. They want to keep that. But they want to tighten the buttons on a lot of other things. And when I see this with world trade, recently we had a big issue with like corn. We lost a lot of our corn due to fires and natural disasters, and now as a nation, our futures exports are hurting, and a lot of the supply chain that we already had out and about because of the lockdown and people being like laid off and things, paperwork being lost. We actually lost a shit ton of shit when it comes to imports and exports and things falling off the back of a truck just during the last couple months. It's been huge. I know that they're looking at ways to fix this, what do you want to call it, like spoilage or like, lost management or theft prevention, XYZ. There's so many supply chains that have been affected by this. And I mean, I'm curious because, Herc and gold and everything, I wanted to see what your thoughts were. And like, we're starting to find gold that has kind of been like hidden and not like accounted for the ledger and then leaked into the supply, and like people are starting to realize this, like, wait, this gold already was out of the ground, you just didn't tell anybody and you're flooding the market with it. Like, do you think that the way that we look at gold and the way that it is in a sense, manipulable because of that, do you think that they don't want gold on the blockchain either, just like we won't see voting on the blockchain?
well, I mean, we got supposedly about 300 million in assets of gold. I mean, yeah, I think the banking, we're seeing, banking and tech collide here. And you're seeing also forced marketplace businesses eating each other. A lot of what's happening is the distributors are trying to compete with the producers in the supply chain of food. So like, you might think you're eating like Angus beef, but you're really eating like a donkey from, some foreign country. And what
Yeah.
happens is like it's just gaming all of the packaging and like the labeling systems, right? You slap a label on something in some warehouse somewhere in the United States, now all of a sudden it's made in the United States, right? There's all this plausible deniability. It's imperative to have Bitcoin level record keeping to bring integrity into the game, or else it's a race to the bottom. Like soon we're going to be eating each other's human, probably. Like,
If that hasn't already happened, unfortunately, I don't want to get into like that conspiracy theory shit, but I'm like, I've seen enough urban legend stories that, urban legends come from some truth. And it's like, Bobby fell into like a vat of tomato sauce and they canned it and they didn't know until 3 months later there was a body in the tub of tomato sauce type shit. And I'm like, yeah, I think blockchain could solve a little bit of this.
yeah, it's distributing the marketplaces. Right now, all marketplaces are central, right? Because governments are forced marketplaces. Bitcoin, Ethereum represent voluntary marketplaces that can distribute. In other words, there's zero choke point. There's zero central point of failure, single point of failure. Like that's the problem with all of these supply chains. It breaks one place in the supply chain. It's impossible for anybody to trust anybody's data. So all that anybody can really trust is like, well, what have you done for me in the past? But that's fallible and it doesn't allow like the more optionality. Hey, what are my other choices out there? Where can I buy this better, faster, cheaper than I'm buying it now? Well, like someone might say that, but how can I really trust what they're showing me, right? Like data integrity, guaranteed data that's impossible for anybody to forge or backdate, which is what Bitcoin gives us. Like, this is where we all need to go. And this is our wake up call, right? Like, we have an opportunity. This is like a reset, like a real chance, like Bitcoin can be the base layer and really supplant gold and dollars, right? Like, it's going to happen this decade, whether we want it or not, it's happening. Like,
Yep.
it's inevitable.
It is, though, and that's the thing. We're riding this inevitable train to a destination we have no clue where it is or when it ends or what could be the next. I know quantum computing is sort of like the fork in the road for all blockchain technology, but right now that's way far out there. Let's worry about that bridge when we have to cross it.
And actually, I have my own theory on quantum computing. I think that we are quantum computers as human beings, and that by changing the game from prisoner's dilemma game theory, which is how commerce has existed for thousands of years, lie, cheat, steal, kill in groups, or have that done to you, that is how we've lived as a human being existence. I think that Bitcoin changes the game because trusted communication changes the game. And that's what Bitcoin invented. So now, by anchoring commerce into trusted communication, we have the ability now to eliminate prisoner's dilemma game theory. The problem is that with haves, you have to have have-nots, which means you have to have poverty. It doesn't matter how much innovation, right? Look at
Someone's got to clean the rich guy's bathroom.
Bingo. You have to have slaves because the system requires masters and slaves. So that's how prisoner's dilemma game theory works. It's a big pyramid, right? And you get squeezed more and more, right? Whereas with Bitcoin, Ethereum, it's like these big mesh networks, right? They're all together, right? And the more you layer, the stronger it gets. It's
Yep.
it's like a trampoline, right? It's like the sheets, how many thread sheets are your, linen in your sheets, right? Your bed sheets, right? Right. You want more, right? You want more layers, right? It gives you better comfort, right? Gives you better support, right?
More security, and it feels good.
Exactly. Yes. All those things.
So where do you think that we have this, like, I'm just curious, like, what roadblocks do you see? Because we've been blowing past a lot this year when it comes to innovation, even regulatory and legislation speaking. We have been excelling. Where do you see that next roadblock, potentially? I'm just curious, as somebody who runs a blockchain business, I'm just like, where do you think, like, you may have to focus next? Because that may be a barrier of entry.
I think it's new school, old school. I think it's still the licensing. I still think that's
So
the
it's
hardest.
an age thing, right? We're just gonna have to wait for the legacy to age out.
Basically, slash new innovation. I mean, the exciting thing is I look at states like Oklahoma now, and I look at their money transmitter license registry, and over half of it's public protocol related. Like, that wasn't even the case 5 years ago or 4 years ago even. So that's happening in a lot of different jurisdictions. That's like one tiny example. And like that, I feel really good about, because then basically like the will of the people is going to speak through the public protocol agencies a lot more than like the banking or like the Western Unions of the world, not to pick on them. They all had really important services. Now they're obsolete. And so like it's time for us to like evolve, right?
Yeah, but what about like, corporate versus, or I guess I would say civilian sector versus government sector, What happens when the government decides to just fork Herc and make their fork of Herc the mandatory blockchain for supply chain issuance or X, Y, and Z? I do kind of worry a little bit about that because it's so open source with everything in our space that, we can opt in to use things until the government says, do it and see what happens. So like, I'm just curious, is that something that you've thought about? Because it's something I worry about way too much. It's just like the government stealing my bro Anthem's fucking idea.
I like that about this space. So I encourage theft because I look at it like, Red Hat had like a year or two head start on IBM. Like 25 years ago, they didn't even have software access keys, but they had open source software, Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. They put these open source languages together to create the LAMP stack. And literally they had IBM chasing them and all these other companies, Oracle chasing them for decades. And they still ended up selling to IBM for like 30 some billion dollars a few years ago. So the way that I look at it is like, you want people copying you, because as long as like you have the most knowledge, then like you're going to always be a step ahead. And honestly, what does it do? It eliminates your marketing spend, right?
That
Because
is
everybody
true.
else knows about like your stuff. So now you just focus on innovating and
This
you
is
let it.
why I love altcoins. Every altcoin in their marketing budget has a budget for Bitcoin.
Exactly. That's the thing. I mean, it all helps support because it makes sense. Because I look at Bitcoin like a distribution and a scaling of the internet. I don't think the internet is scalable, which is a big statement to make in its current form. The OSI layer, what they call, it's a centralized stack at the bottom, or what they call these internet service providers or internet exchanges. The problem with the internet is that if you have access to a terminal, you can keep hitting it, infinite times, denial of service attack. It's like a filibuster,
Yeah, and
right?
we've seen like 14-year-old kids do this for fun on a day off because they didn't have to go to school that day. It's not
Uh,
that difficult.
taking down like Garmin, which has like, just up the road, they have like US missile, it's crazy, right? Like this is the level things have gotten to now. It's so easy to just do it, It's like if you just, don't care about, maybe you get caught, maybe you don't. And by the way, like it's easier not to get caught than ever before because it's easier to figure out how
Right.
to copy someone's computer. All central software is corruptible. That means you can erase the dates and the times. You can trick the clock and the
Yep.
computer the different
Dude,
times.
I'm vibing with everything because I've been saying that we want everything on the blockchain right now, but the blockchain is on the internet and the internet fucking sucks. We can't have everything on the current internet. We need to make the internet better, and then we could have everything on the blockchain that runs on the internet.
Well, I look at it like a little bit of a chicken and egg situation where I look at like Bitcoin miners and arguably Ethereum miners, like the physical computers as being like the new zero layer of the internet. Like they're going to be the new data centers I see. Like I just think that we're early days still. Like this is like, maybe 1990, maybe not even. Maybe this is still like the 80s or 70s, in terms of the internet's relationship. Like to where we are now with public protocol to the internet's relationship. It's
Right, right.
like ARPANET or DARPANET, like these government networks that like before like the internet, right? Like they had all these ideas of like computers and they were networked together, but it wasn't like we were all interconnected where, oh great, we go buy like a phone and now we just hop on the internet like today, right? It was like, oh, you have to be in the university or work in the military or
Or have an AOL disk.
yeah, that was the 90s.
Right.
That was the 90s. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even know if we're at the proverbial 90s with public protocol web that we were with interweb.
Oh yeah,
Art
at least not utilization aspect. Like hardly utilized at the moment compared to relatively.
like what's commercial, right? I mean, arguably games, if one considers that commercial, but that's more like, enjoyment. But like, there's not really like any, like what business or government is using Ethereum or Bitcoin or EOS or storage or something like as like a mandatory part of its business
You know what's
application.
funny though? Some governments and ours included just started using the internet more. I think like last year or 2 years ago, Congress finally stopped using like paper to document and they started using hard drives and things. And they just evolved into like a technological government esque vibe. And it took them over 30 years to do it.
It's beautiful, right? We're gonna leapfrog, right?
That's the yeah, you're 100% right. We will leapfrog our own government, bro.
It's great. We'll make government services possible because governments are just marketplaces, right?
Right.
That's what they are. And these marketplaces are now obsolete. So we need new marketplaces that can serve our wants, needs of enjoyment and comfort, right? Like these old systems, they can't do it anymore. Like our wants are too much.
That makes sense. You're right. I mean, it's true. And the more of us that want more out of our legacy systems, the more pressure we put on them to evolve and experiment. And I mean, I'm not a political person, but I've been telling people this whole time, like, vote with your money, buy Bitcoin, and a lot of people will end up voting with their attention or voting with their computational power or voting with X, Y, and Z by opting out of something and opting into something else. And I'm already seeing it a lot to do with like charity work when it comes to like how governments and stuff and states kind of handle certain things. We already have decentralized charities now. Like that's like I think the experiment or like the petri dish of like bigger government on the blockchain is how are we handling these charity DAOs, and how do these DAOs work with governance instead of governments? And it's just an experiment that we could use as a catalyst to say, well, this is how it did work and this is how it didn't work. Moving forward to more municipalitant operations, this is what we can or this is what we should or shouldn't do. And I'm looking at charities on the blockchain right now as that catalyst for more government on the blockchain.
I love it, and I see the handshake. I look at us as like the world's most powerful computers by eliminating all the security code base, which is what public protocol does, because protocols are secured by networks. That's the kind of software they are. And being public protocol means anybody can like use them. It's not like, you have to be in this little network. So like that's the beauty of this whole system. It actually like achieves all of these things naturally that we really want. It's just we have to put them together. We need more of them. We need to just keep encouraging more curiosity, build more stuff, copy some other person's thing, but do your own, try to serve your own market, or just whatever, do somebody else's own thing. I look at charity like we're going to be powering like this hat in 5 years, maybe free, or maybe someone pays me to wear it because maybe the heat on my head is enough to power a semiconductor that then goes into the lights and the computer and everything else. I am now part of the cloud. All my clothes are part of the cloud now because you don't have to have the gobs of, gigabytes of code base to secure it. That, by the way, the computer processor has to read just like we have to read words. The computer does too, right? So you can make things a lot lighter. You need all this energy to power stuff, right? Like that's where I see everything going. Like I believe in resurrection because I think that we're going to find needs to have our unique DNA sequence with each other more, create more interesting matrices of things, right? And I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, who knows? Like maybe that's why we're here. Like we're like cultivated computers, and it takes this long to cultivate.
I think it's the Dalai Lama, right? That they used. I think it's like 100 random items, and they ask a child to pick 3 of the Dalai Lama's old possessions, and if you pick all 3 right away, it's like, oh shit, you're the reborn Dalai Lama. Hear me out on this, bro, and it might go far out there, but I do believe that Bitcoin will prove that there is resurrection and reincarnation, because when somebody eventually does get reborn with that seed phrase in their mind, fucking 12 words they can't get out of their head, one day they type those words in and they got Bitcoin. They're like, wait, in my previous life, was I a Bitcoiner?
Wow. You really expanded my mind just now. That's
Bitcoin's the only thing you can take with you to the afterlife.
That's a really, really fascinating concept.
A tomb with King Tut with all his gold. We raided that shit and we stole his gold. So he didn't get to take that gold to the afterlife like he thought he would just by being buried with it. But if you can remember 12 words, you can be buried with your Bitcoin, bro.
Yeah. And well, I guess the caveat there though is that you got to make sure that the encryption is still good enough that you resurrect fast enough and you can get that thing so that you don't have like a sweeper issue. But yeah, there's always an asterisk, right?
Right. So I'm waiting for the Dalai Lama Satoshi Nakamoto hunt, where in like 100 years people are going around and seeing if any kids can remember any words that can unlock the Genesis block.
That's funny.
This is the dumb shit I be thinking about sometimes, bro. But I'm like, it's not far-fetched. Like, I truly don't believe it's, like, too out there to think these things. Because, like...
Well, it's not. Because who knows what our behavior is going to incentivize now to help each other, right? It's like, we're not going to be trying to deceive each other all the time anymore. Like, everyone that's in public protocol gets that kind of naturally, you know what I mean? That's like why we're all kind of, we're all very different people. We all come from very, like you and I, right? Like we come very different, but yeah, like we're totally bonded because we see this technology. We understand the power intrinsically of trust, right? That's what it comes down to. People that have been burned the most, ultimately, or like have seen the benefits of trust, those are the people that really get Bitcoin the best, and like all the derivations of public protocol that Bitcoin invented. Right?
Dude, I mean, if we were as mature as a society as we were 100 years ago, Bitcoin would be a god. There would be religions built around the power that this technology offers us as individuals. There would be the Church of Satoshi if only we were a little bit immature as a society. We've matured enough, probably, like, I think since Scientology, not to like go into religious I would say like the labeling of religious movements, but I mean, dude, this is so close to like a religious awakening that it's rocking people's belief systems, not just in their governments, but in themselves. Like, people are just waking up and realizing that maybe a little bit more responsibility isn't a bad thing to have, and being your own bank is maybe a little bit scarier than having Wells Fargo, but it's also more freeing than having Wells Fargo be my bank. And I'm just excited to see a lot of the people that I know from my daily life, like we were talking a little bit off air, they could care less about crypto and Bitcoin and all this stuff before. But during this pandemic, as more people lose their regular everyday jobs, this industry hasn't really had much of a hiccup in it when it comes to employment, because it's self-employment. It's the hustler mentality. And a lot of people are looking in from the outside going, how do I get in? How can I work for Bitcoin? It's not work for Bitcoin, it's work with Bitcoin.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the beauty, right? Is like feeling this movement of freedom and, basically just flowing, right? Stop the force, just go with the flow, right? And that's really this phenomena. It's religion is really forced spirituality, government's really forced marketplace. Bitcoin, Ethereum are forms of voluntary marketplace. So I think that as these protocols become marketplaces, really commercialized, we're going to see the rise of voluntary spirituality religions, right? Like, shaman and kind of a lot of this, ayahuasca and like ceremonial, and like it's going to make sense a lot, because fear will be eliminated now as a driver, right? Motivator. Now all of a sudden trust and truth is going to be the motivating factor. So our behavior toward each other and toward ourselves will totally be different, because all our stress and traumas are going to be eliminated. Of like, who's lying, cheating, stealing, and trying to kill me most recently? You know what I mean? It's like, it's a constant look over your shoulder proverbial game, and that's stress. That's a killer, right? That's cumulative, incremental stress. What's this, right? That's having to look back instead of look forward is stressful, right? So
And it does it holds us back as a society, doing that. And we've gotten to the point, I think most people are comfortable, unfortunately, in that position of anxiety and stress. Some people prosper in it because it's where they were raised, right? It's like Bane from Batman. It's like, yeah, you adapted to the dark, I was fucking born in it. A lot of the people in the legacy system feel that way, so where like they were born in this shithole, they know how it works, and they appreciate it for the shit that it is. Like the trustlessness of everything made deception game theory. It made the deceptors the winners all the time. They're, though, now in points of power that lobby against truth being, the driving factor moving forward. I'm with you with, like, earlier, like you said, we have to wait for a lot of these legacies to age out. But unfortunately, they're kids, right? These like politicians are raising more politicians, and these legislators are raising more legislators. It's like, when does it age out?
I think once it becomes irrelevant, like once like our needs and wants are no longer served by these marketplaces, then we're gonna like say F it, you know what I mean? We're gonna be like, why? Like, we're not gonna care. It can be like, we don't buy like whale blubber anymore to power ships. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't matter anymore, right? Like, it was once relevant, but now like we use like synthetic rubber. We don't use like rubber from trees anymore. Like, it's not relevant. Like, the commodity isn't relevant anymore, right? Because there was like a substitute that was way better that we figured out. We found, we discovered, right?
It's making dishonesty irrelevant.
That's it. Bitcoin made dishonesty irrelevant because it's infinitely better at communicating. Trust is a binary 1 to distrust that always rounds down to 0.
And it's a whole new type of money, man. I mean, imagine, if Bitcoin is the only currency that would be worth 0 if you were the only one with all of it.
Well, that's like any network, and I look at it more radically. I actually think that we're looking at barter. I look at Satoshis and ETH, and that's very controversial in our space, right? It's gotten me banned from a lot of maxis and a lot of my former friends. I don't really.
Same, yeah. Maximalism is a form of tribalism that I'm okay with not being friends with those people anymore.
Well, I look at money as violent currency
Yeah.
because I look at money as something that has to be defined. Whereas, like, I think that people that look at Bitcoin as better money, they're still in a cult in hypnosis in violence, in my view. They don't understand, in my opinion, that you only like gold is only money because a group of people basically says, yeah, we're going to legally make it money. And if you want to change it, good luck. You're going to have to kill us all, right? And like take over our country, right? Like that's money. Like money is something that you have to define, something you have to define, you have to defend. Something that you have to defend can be aggressed, which means it's violent. Like Bitcoin's not anything. It's just software access keys to the world's strongest
Right, and somebody decided to make it into money like an asshole. It's a fucking, it's a decentralized public timestamp server, and somebody said we could turn this into money.
It's third-party transferable value, sure, yeah, but like so are a lot of things.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Pokemon cards and X, Y, and Z.
Bingo, exactly, right? A lot of things are third-party transfer of value that people universally recognize. Like this is another one of those things. Like I would argue we want to get away from money. Like barter's
Ding
pure.
fucking ding, bro.
Exactly, right. Hey,
Bitcoin will make money obsolete. It's just going to, money won't even be a word that we use in 100 years from now. It'll be, like you said, it'll just be irrelevant to our society.
Exactly. Well put. I mean, that's my goal. World peace through trusted commerce, through eliminating prisoner's dilemma game theory and eliminating money. Everything barter. Here are the services you want. We are the supercomputers that we're looking for. We're the quantum computers that we keep looking for. We just need to plug into each other now.
Barter starts with tokenize everything. Tokenize everything. Tokenize yourself, tokenize your goods, and tokenize your services, and make that a cyclical economy for yourself. And then you let your peers and your peers trade amongst each other with your own bartered tokenomics. And that is when money becomes irrelevant, bro.
Bingo. Well said. I couldn't have said it for myself.
I think I posted this on Facebook or something a while back where I'm like, currency isn't money. Money is currency. And we can get away from money and still have our currencies.
Wow, that's beautifully said. Poetic. Said Ken Bozak for Nobel economist.
I just think I was too far down the rabbit hole that day. But yeah, I mean, dude, it's been such an amazing ride watching, like, the past, 10, 11 years of, fighting the legacy systems tooth and nail, bro, from like, it's a scam from PayPal to now PayPal is adopting it. Companies like JP Morgan calling it a scam are now buying it in the hundreds of millions. It's starting to feel a lot like they knew what we knew this whole time, but they were trying to convince us that we were wrong.
Maybe. I don't know. Honestly, like, hey, I was one of those naysayers, 9-10 years ago. It took me a few years in to really.
Well, you come from deep legacy too. Like the family gold blood goes deep.
It's hard. You're right. And like to rehypnotize, right? Because you think, oh, well, like gold is that. Then you realize, no, really, it's something deeper than that, right? So it was hard, right? I never really knew how it was going to happen. Honestly, I mean, Bitcoin, I loved from the minute I heard of it. Which wasn't 10-ish, early 10, I would say 9, 10 it was early, but I didn't really believe in something that we could trust until about 12. Once I saw like the hashing power and like how this thing was expanding and stuff, that gave me the will to then push all of our company resources and to start developing using public protocols. It happened about 8 years ago. I was like, this thing is for real. And we just went for it, and now, like 8 years in, we're like one of the world's like only teams that's been doing this for 8 years. So
with a lot of really cool success in between, man. What was it at Futurist? Wasn't that you that was responsible for like the fruit on the blockchain shit?
Oh, the team.
But that was badass, bro. That was really badass. Maybe elaborate a little bit on what that was like, because I feel like if we could have went to a conference this year, you probably had something in plans to make that look like child's play. but explain to what the audience what I'm talking about.
Awesome. So the team put together in about a month, catering, Caterable in Toronto, the world's largest blockchain conference, Futurist. We were the keynotes and the key sponsors, and we put all of this fruits and veggies into a QRable format. So these big poster boards with all these fruit baskets and veggie baskets, and then you could just wand your phone over, and then the camera right picks up the QR, and then it popped up like date, timestamp, an IPFS picture, factum hash, right? So date, time. So the whole concept is that you can have easy track trace, verify it right into Bitcoin, and that.
Dude, you had the farm to table community salivating at that event. Like, seriously, I can't. Every conversation I overheard when somebody was playing around with it was like, why isn't this at my, like, farm to table grocery store? And I'm like, yeah, why isn't it? It's exactly what you need, so you're not eating donkey meat.
I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to where I am. I mean, we've had administrative offices in Oklahoma and Texas for a while. I mean, we really kind of focus. I've been in kind of the heartland, I guess you could say, a lot more this year. And I look at food supply chain as a critical issue. We've been approached by a lot of people in the heartland that have businesses in food or food services. And it's interesting. So I'm really I actually don't think it's the biggest opportunity for us as a company. I think ransomware still is, but I think that this is a form of ransomware, just on a grander scale.
Ooh, I like the way you think, bro. That is true, though. It is. I mean, and it happens on such a large scale that it may be worthwhile if you talk to people like Gordon Ramsay, who worries about getting 3-day-old cod instead of cod out the water today.
Yeah, go with knowledge. Go experience wins, right? Keep it simple. Love wins always. Experience wins. Value and love are synonymous. The only way you can get to value and love is through communication. And Bitcoin is the world's strongest form of communication because it's the world's most trusted record keeping. So that's why we need to push all of our commerce onto the world's most trusted record keeping, so we can get out of this crazy mess of trying to kill each other all the time, which that doesn't even benefit the masters anyway. We're all slaves to the system. Even the masters are slaves.
Yep.
In some ways, the slaves are more masters than the masters are. That's how effed up the whole system is. It's all based on fear, right? Of unknown. Now we have the ability to have known records. That's never happened before Bitcoin. Like, now we just got to figure out how to apply these like strongest record keeping Bitcoin into our goods and services. That's all. That's it. That's all it is.
You make it sound like it's going to be so simple. You're like, that's all. And it's like, it's probably going to take 5 years or a decade for this to be like, interrupt.
Probably, but that's okay. Hey, given what we've done, that'll be easy. Don't worry.
That's true. I was going to say, it's true, actually. Even if it was as easy as it could be, it would still take 5 or 10 years because governments are just so slow moving. It's just, that is what it is. The technology could be finalized and we still take forever to see interoperability. I have you here and I wanted to take advantage of this opportunity since we only have a couple minutes left. Maybe a chance for you to more elaborate about like Herc and Anthem Gold and everything. And I wanted to dive into space gold because everyone's going nuts about gold coming from asteroids. And I have, I think, the most different perspective of space gold that I've heard. But please let people know a little bit about like why I'm asking you about the gold.
I want to hear it. So I'm gonna get this real fast. So we've got Hercules, which we think is the world's first commercialization of Bitcoin and public protocol. It's herc.one is the website that we have it on right now, the main one. It was originally built as an inventory log with the data integrity of Bitcoin for our gold stablecoin asset token called anthemgold.com is the URL. You'll see on there, it's a Lloyd's London insured gold kilo bars. We store them in Texas, around Houston. They're class 3 vaulted. First video stream that we know of in history with Lloyd's insurance on it. And you'll see that Herc inventory log. We created a company this year, Hera Software Development, that's out there deploying. I mentioned we have one big case in the beginning of the show, and we'll be mentioning a lot more about that. Maybe I'll come back on once we announce. I believe in the same thing as you. We need to tokenize everything. And, I think gold is a great place because it's something that is a very high dense value. So things that are the most valuable probably make the most sense first. And I really want to hear your take on space gold because our Chief Innovation Officer, Logan Galema, as you know, Logan, he introduced us actually even originally. He's really into space, and he's also founded Logistics to kind of deal with public protocol in space. So yeah,
Yeah, Logan sent me some. I asked him for some space stuff to look into, and dude sent me 3D organs being printed in outer space. And I'm like, all right, thanks for the whole year's worth of homework, Logan. Now I'm looking into organs being printed with stem cells in outer space. I still don't know what the hell I'm looking at, but I've been looking into it for a long enough that I should. But I digress. So here's my thought, though, on space gold. Cost, production, import export exponential for Earth gold. So any cost effect that we have going to get to space, to get the gold out of the asteroid, to import it back to the planet, I think space gold, once it gets smelted and mixed in and we don't know what gold's what, all Earth gold will be significantly worth so much more than people are ready for. And I know as a Bitcoiner, nobody wants to hear this, but bro, gold will take the fuck off as soon as we start importing gold from outer space, because the production cost of getting that gold from outer space will be reflected into the existing gold on the markets we have today.
It's fascinating. You really have blown my mind again. It's like, you very well could be right, because like the usual argument is that you would flood the market from an inflationary standpoint. Yep. The other argument is like, who knows what we can make with this substance still, right? It's like the world's most malleable metal. It's like one of the best conductors. It's like, if we have a lot of it and we can like demonetize it now, like we are with Bitcoin, because we've gone from barter to money, like now we have a lot more gold readily available. Like it should become first more cost economic, I would think, and then maybe as we find more industrial applications, maybe like what you say, like it could go the other way, right? Because now all of a sudden we want to like do all this stuff with gold and we need to bring it in, and the only way we can get all this amount is from these asteroids, but like the cost of importing that of like
futures, that's where I'm going, right? Is like looking at the gold futures market. There won't be a gold futures for space gold or a gold futures for Earth gold. It'll have one futures market.
Fascinating. It's fascinating. I mean, well, maybe to Logan's point, like maybe we're just going to be making a lot more stuff in space. Like maybe a lot of these big things that we'll do just to take advantage of, like, that we don't have to deal with the forces of gravity as much. Like, there'll be a lot.
Oh, that's a good point. Especially when it comes to like infrastructure, we could build like, imagine, an Ethernet cable with, super thin gold lining that couldn't have been done because of Earth gravity cracking it under the pressure of, gravity itself while being, smelted so thinly.
Yeah, like who knows what we pick up, right? It's like machine on machine learning without corruptible data. Who knows what we find even then? Like we might be able to like cure all these crazy things that right now are like all these plagues or whatever, and the machines are like laughing, right?
Well, the machines I think are what cured COVID. That Pilzer or Filzer or whatever the hell it is that came out of left field. They're saying like their AI was like throwing brute force attack cocktails and eventually one stuck. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't hundreds of scientists. It was like one AI.
That's what you do. Now, the problem is, how do you trust that record keeping? Because the company is still a forced marketplace.
I love how skeptical you are.
No, but like look at like Google and Facebook, all these like trillion or multi-billion-dollar companies, right? Like they have these crazy AIs that go like Skynet on them because they're dealing with prisoner's dilemma game theory. Yep. Like the AI is dealing with corrupted data. That's the problem. So like corrupted AI is going to be like corrupt politician on steroids.
Oh my God, no. It's going to be like the Terminator of politics.
That's where Bitcoin comes in, is like RoboCop Terminator. So like it's like no, like it's the real thing. It's the honey badger Terminator.
I like Bitcoin as RoboCop. It has enough human-esque vibe that I'm cool with it, being ubiquitous to life. The Terminator, not so much.
Yeah. That's more like the corrupted AI from our forefathers of Google and Microsoft and Amazon, right?
Yeah, well, dude, the prisoner dilemma thing is interesting to as a philosophical ideology to apply to a lot of different industries and things in your everyday life. When especially when it comes to currency or money and trusting I mean, I can't tell you how many times I had a friend clock in for me at work because I was running late. And that's just one small thing. Imagine on larger scales all those little white lies in the supply chain.
Those are collusion, right? Forms of collusion to create plausible deniability that's inherent with corruptible data. Because if you're not doing it, somebody else is. You have to assume that, right? That's the kill or be killed part, right? Like Sun Tzu Art of War, I think, is the most relevant book of, held its true intent better than any other book I've ever read, even though it's 2,500 years old. It's the truest. Talks about how you win in war. Those tactics apply in business. It's the same because business is still run by forced marketplace, by prisoner's dilemma. Sun Tzu was writing about prisoner's dilemma. We're still living in prisoner's dilemma.
Yeah. You know what's funny though? We'll know exactly when we are out of this whole dilemma, when that model fails inherently, where it's just human nature, common sense that bad actors aren't rewarded. So inherently, we'll know. There will be a clear sign that we have had an awakening as a civilization or as a planet in general. There will be an obvious telltale sign of the paradigm shifts, not just the haves or the have-nots, but the woke and the still unwoke. And right now, dude, I feel responsible to red pill as many people as I could force feed it down their throats. It is our responsibility.
Man, thank you for what you do. I'm humbled and grateful just to be in your presence and for everything you do. You're a visionary. You're a true visionary.
Dude, I love you, bro. I love hanging out with you. I miss the fact that I didn't even get to see you this year. Like, it bums me out. Like, bro, half of these you were there, man. Half of them, maybe even more.
It's like a dream,
Miss you, bro. Shout out to Logan and the whole Herc and Anthem team, man. I love you guys. Anything that you wanted to make sure that we mentioned or let the audience know before we wrap things up?
Sunshine cures all, loved ones always. So appreciate it.
You heard them, folks. And as always, have a day. Oh wait, I can't log off.
We're still on.
We're definitely still live.
Awesome.
We might have to filibuster.
Well, the reality is, like, I really haven't done a lot, like, publicly. We've really been focused on building, and I just kind of on a whim, I was like, hey, we should just talk. And I was like, I just saw, I think, one of your tweets about scheduling an interview with you, and I was just like, hey, all right,
Yeah, I try to keep it open format, like anybody's. If you guys are watching this and you want to come on the podcast, anybody can come on. Apparently, I can't get off the podcast because my Magic Mouse died. So
you're going. It's like bonus time.
It's 1 o'clock.
That is hilarious. I don't know how to log off. My mouse died in the middle of us talking. So give me 1 second so I can grab this charger.
Hey,
I believe this is my charger.
Just stay curious, right? Keep on Bitcoin and keep on. And if you have any questions for me, right, you can catch me on Twitter too. Anthem Hayek. My parents named me after an Ayn Rand book, and Frederick August Hayek. And my dad, you can catch his interview on libertarianism interviewing Hayek 36 years ago. Some people say that they predicted Bitcoin. So
really? How so?
Yeah, so check this out. If you Google
that's a pretty interesting, claim to get.
Check this out. So basically, Hayek says that if the only way that they're going to stop governments with money is if they come up with some sly way the governments can't stop. So if you Google right now, Hayek predicted Bitcoin, it'll pull up a video, and the guy that's doing the interview is my dad. And I have the transcript of the whole thing.
I actually think I've seen this before.
I probably showed this to you before.
You might have. I think you have, actually. Now it sounds really familiar.
Yeah, like I'll shoot you the link, and you can like see the video on this. It's insane, and like you can check the tweet verse, right? Like you'll see people. I didn't actually even like put this together until a few years ago when people on Twitter started talking about it. Then I was like, holy shit, that's my dad.
That is awesome. No, I think it was you that showed me it, but I do remember seeing this, and I remember somebody showing me, even probably besides yourself or Logan or anybody from the team showing me this.
Yes, I'm sure, because it made big rounds.
Yeah.
predicted Bitcoin thing was almost like a meme. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember. I think actually this was around the same time I was hearing rumors of Vitalik's dad Dimitrik or whatever predicting Bitcoin, like 3 or 4 years before the white paper was released.
Yeah, right. It's like it's this insanity. YouTube hack. Let me see if I can find the dictionary.
Yeah, I'm charging my mouse now so I can let Anthem go. As soon as it's charged up, I cannot believe my mouse decided to die, bro. Like 2020 problems.
Good, it keeps it interesting. Here's now I'm gonna put all these links in here. So yeah,
All
so
right.
those are the links that I just literally pulled up for.
I'll put this in the description for everybody watching. There will be links in the description. And if I miss anything, Anthem will post a comment probably in the comment section below. So just go ahead and check that out for more links. You have like Telegram, Discord, or anything people could join for like community involvement?
Yeah, we do. We do have. I will pull that up. And yeah, we do have a Telegram.
I still have some Herc I got from one of the conferences. So I'm curious, do you guys have like any bounties or anything right now where you guys are doing airdrops?
We don't at the moment, but I think we're going to see some kind of interesting news that will probably, cause a lot more interest. Probably around, the end of the day, we're a commercial protocol, so like we don't actually like really anticipate a lot of retail demand for what we do, because like really we're trying to like provide a trust layer for enterprises to help, make them serve better, faster.
Yeah, this is a B2B solution.
Yeah, it is. And like I do think everyone is going to be their own bee eventually, but I think in the interim it's kind of like we have to enable that lemonade stand to be able to push a button and that they have incorruptible financial statements. Like that's where we're going with this.
I love that you use the lemonade stand analogy because that's exactly where we need to get. But until we get there, it's the big dogs that will help the little ones get to that moment.
Bingo. Beautifully said, right? Because the big dogs have the scale, right? So like, there's that. So
And that's why I love this whole open protocol world that we're in, is because no matter who decides to utilize it, the amount of infrastructure that they put behind it, it's still for all of us. It's not just for Google or just for JP Morgan. Anything they do in this environment, we can take from them and use for ourselves. So this is no longer a take scenario as much as it is a build and distribute scenario, no matter what they want to do. So this is why I love altcoins, because they're all eventually for Bitcoin. And I even became a fan of BSV because God knows how much money they spent promoting the word Bitcoin. I love it. Just keep using it and keep promoting it, because and support all things, man. I mean, I tried so hard the past couple months, bro, to break out of like the tribalistic mentality of like Bitcoin is king, and like, yeah, I don't have to hold Bitcoin to that pedestal. It has it all on its own. It doesn't need me. You know what I mean? It's a honey badger. It doesn't care if I think it's the king or not. I don't, so everything is king. My thing is be your own Satoshi. Everybody should be their own Satoshi.
Yes, that's the whole point, right? It's self-sovereignty, personal agency, right? It's to be able to eliminate fear, right? And like that is truth and trust and love, right? Like that's this whole idea we're trying to spread, right? Is this idea of like trust in math, right? Instead of like fear and rhetoric.
Oh,
right?
fuck, dude. Could you imagine if we find out somehow from an alien that our math is wrong? Everything is wrong because you put the decimal in the wrong place in this one math equation. Like,
honestly, it could very well be true. Like all the corruption, how deep does the corruption go?
We as a society, we put on plaques and we've done things to put our information into outer space and send it to other planets, but we used math as the language to communicate with these extraterrestrial life forms. And I keep laughing when I see like this NASA explanation. I'm like, what if the math is wrong? Like, what if this isn't universal math and the universe's math isn't like, how we use the metric system here? It's like, it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really getting into sacred geometry. Like one of the people that was at that futurist conference last year, Robert Edward Grant. Like I'm really been digging a lot of his Instagram. Like I really like a lot of the sacred geometry because I think it's getting it's unlocking a lot of these secrets. And I think that once public protocols commercialize and we really get machine on machine learning with incorruptible data, we're gonna like all of these like little secrets are gonna unlock that are gonna make our life like infinitely better.
Facts.
Like easier to deal with, less traumatic, less stressful.
And all this is why I say money will be irrelevant.
Bingo.
Because it just doesn't have a place in a world that just works.
Yeah. Force is never the answer. It's like violence is never the answer. You know, it's just been a bad substitute.
Well, that's what money is at the moment. It's not just it's fear turned into currency that has been turned into money.
Bingo.
You know, people fear going homeless. You know, that's the driving force of most people's, career opportunities is, I don't want to be homeless. I fear that not having money, may ruin my life. So their whole lives are based off of that one fear of not having money. And that is the driving force of where they go for the next 80 to 100 years of their life.
It's beautifully said. I mean, and it's beautifully sad too, right? I mean, and that's what we need to evolve from, right? Eliminate revolution and let's raise and rise to evolution, right? Like, let's get there now. We built the tool. I mean, Bitcoin was created basically from the same technology to secure nuclear weaponry. So, right, like public-private key encryption. So, like, now we gotta like use this to get out of this, because otherwise, like, shit's gonna get real bad.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for the Titanic to hit the iceberg to drop a lifeboat into the water and start rowing in the other direction.
Well said. Keep rowing.
Anthem, thank you. I got my mouse all charged up now, so first world problems are solved. And guys, if you're watching this live, please don't forget, all you have to do is like and comment. Every day, somebody who does a like and comment wins Bitcoin. Well, actually, now it's USDT because volatility. So you'll get your $10. $10 every day. Somebody wins. All you have to do is like and comment. Anthem, thank you so much. Everybody have a day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There are many different ways to buy Bitcoin, but the cheapest and fastest way to buy Bitcoin with cash is with a coin flip Bitcoin ATM. Coin flip ATMs allow anyone to buy Bitcoin with the lowest fees and within just a few steps. Hi, I'm Amy, and I'm one of the hundreds of store owners who partner with CoinFlip. In this convenience store, we host a CoinFlip Bitcoin ATM. We earn passive income, more foot traffic, and we get free advertising done by the CoinFlip team. Getting the ATM was easy. We just contact the CoinFlip team at info@coinflip.tech, and they handle everything with no cost to the store owner. This includes installation, maintenance, marketing, and even 24/7 customer service. We just provide a small space within the store. To get your own CoinFlip Bitcoin ATM and join the monetary revolution, contact CoinFlip today. info@coinflip.tech, or fill out the form at request.coinflip.tech. 773-800-0106.
Whether you're brand new to cryptocurrency or an expert, Hodl is the app for you. Are you tired of dealing with the exchanges, their unreliability, and high fees? Welcome to the new cryptocurrency standard. Hodl is your one-stop shop for accumulating cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. This is the easiest way for you to accumulate crypto and manage it. Download the Hodl app now. Create your profile, link one or more bank accounts, set up your dashboard, and let Hodl do the rest. It's easy and fast. Hodl provides multiple ways to purchase and accumulate crypto. Included are advanced automated buying features along with direct market buys. You have total control of your money and which cryptocurrencies get purchased, with options including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Tether, Ripple, among others. Use the Roundup feature to automatically purchase crypto with your spare change after making everyday purchases. Easily increase your Roundup growth by using the Boost Growth option, and boost your Roundups by either 2, 3, or 5 times. The Autopilot feature allows you to purchase crypto based on the amount and frequency you choose. Set it and forget it. Buy and sell in real time. The coins you buy are the coins you get. Hodl holds 100% true blockchain purchases. No downtime. Super secure. Lower fees, and you get 24/7 support. Hodl makes it easy for you to create and manage a diversified cryptocurrency portfolio. Look forward to future enhancements coming soon, as well as additional cryptocurrency options. Download the Hodl app today and get started now.